Hey guys. So based on the previous LinkedIn post where I shared some of the information about my habits and structure, some of the things that I'm doing, I thought it might be a good idea to do a follow-up short video just to give some of the more specifics, especially because some of the people were asking some questions about which apps I use and I'm getting the most benefit on, what mistakes I made, and a couple of other things. Has it had some flow-on effect into different parts of my life with some of the changes that I made from a structure point of view? So I thought I'd try and do something short that can be of benefit to people, and feel free to share across to whoever you think may benefit from some of the information that I've got together. I'll say up front, some of the parts that I have put in place with myself is not for everybody, and some parts not for the faint-hearted. I've tried to, especially over the last couple of months, try and really refine and improve what I'm doing. Part of it is trying to find the right balance. From a transparency point of view, I'm one of these people that has a slight addictive personality. So things that I do, I try and do to the nth degree. So if I'm setting time for personal development, I was putting so much time and effort into that, and sometimes at the sacrifice of others. When I was doing the physical training, same sort of part. The people that know me well know that about me already. So one of the things I really wanted to try and reset, starting from about 2.5 to 3 months ago, was about getting some effective balance, finding that right balance between what I wanted to achieve from the, I'm going to say, education element, mindfulness elements, plus as well from work priorities, balancing with family life, and a whole range of things. So what I've tried to really do with this schedule now and with my habits is to try and find what works for me. I also wanted to make sure it was measurable. So some of the things about being measurable are just about how you're feeling, energy levels, mood, and I'll get to that a little bit later on about what things I put in place for tracking for with that. I've always been a very metric or measured person, very metric focused. So anything that I put in place, be it in my work or personal life, is about how do we track and measure it, how do we improve it, how do we know that we're on the right track to make sure that with the things that we're doing or putting in place, if they're effective, if they're truly translating to be of benefit for us. So what I also wanted to do is, because of the fact that I'm a technology and app-based person for things as well, is I wanted to do a lot of reading and research to find out first, see what sort of habits are working effectively for a different cross-section of people, see even elements of what apps are working well for with them, so I can try and test some of those out. So some of the things I'm going to share today with this video are things that, through trial and error with myself, things that have worked for me. To give you some initial part before we get in, so I suppose the end point from where things are at is, I've been somebody who has, sleeping has always been a difficult thing for me, especially getting good amount of restful sleep, building up between the deep sleep and REM sleep. And deep sleep is something that drops off as you age, even though I'm just a spring chicken. So one of the things that I really wanted to track is, because it's very cognitive processing focused, a lot of the things that I'm doing, so I wanted to track and improve my REM sleep. So to give you some idea, I allocate 6 hours sleep per night, and out of that I'm getting between 2 hours and 15 to 2 hours and 30 minutes REM sleep per night, which is definitely substantially higher than what the average person is. And that's because due to a combination of a lot of things that I'm going to run through with you today. That means, aside from with that, even with the reduced sleeping hours compared to what I'd say the average person may get, I'm waking up feeling 100% alert, vigilant, refreshed, and everything's working well and humming for me. So I'll run through that when I get to some of the parts, especially when I show you through some of the apps and some of the success, how I've tracked that as well. I'm a big believer in the mental currency principle, and what I mean by that is, the last thing I wanted to do is start from scratch and do months and months of my own testing. So I've definitely been reading and immersing myself in and spending a lot more time on that as well. People that have done a lot of time and research with that. So I'm still listening to the podcast that I've mentioned previously, the Tom Bilyeu and Brené Brown. But the other part is reading books like Essentialism, Deep Work, Limitless by Jim Quick, a range of things like that, Atomic Habits by James Clear. These sort of books where people have got a lot of research together in the format that's palatable for me, short, sharp chunks. I'll cover off that part when I get to things as well. So that's why I thought, if I can run through those and give you some examples, if I do it in this format with a video, you can pause, You can have a look at if any of the books that I've got there are relevant for you, the apps are relevant for you as well, and hopefully this can be of benefit for some people. The part I'll say up front compared to previous things that I've done, which has been about reading and researching, I'm definitely somebody who spends a lot of time on learning and trying to gather as much as I can about my field of interest, both professionally and personally. But the last 3 to 4 months for me has been a change where I've really focused some time on that mindfulness, on rounding myself off. There's been a range of things that I've done for with that, and I'll cover off a large portion for with those. Just making sure, I suppose, that I'm in the moment, and whatever I'm doing, I'm giving my whole self to. So I'll put up some of the different parts in that as well, and show you some of the content that I'm talking about, so I can give you some information for that. As I said, I'm saying up front, some of these elements are, this is what works for me. So don't take this as being 100%, try and test this out. Elements for this, like it will be, can be successful for you, but it's got to map, with your outcomes, your lifestyle, your priorities. One of the big things with this isn't something that I'm forced to do. This is choice. One of the key phrases and sayings that I absolutely love now, keep top of mind, is life is C between B and D. It's the choices we make between birth and death. And the big part for this, if this is things that you're choosing to do and on that self-improvement, then that's what's going to give you a greater enhanced chance of success. So I'll run through some of the individual points, but as I said, post putting this video up, if anyone has any questions, others, I'm always happy to discuss these things and share information. I'm also happy to have, my thoughts and opinions challenged. That's what this is about as well, getting different perspective. So wake up, the deathbed exercise and gratitude thinking. Part of that is first thing in the morning when I'm up is stopping and thinking. And so from the deathbed point of view is, if you're on your final days and there's somebody there beside you, what would they say about you? What would resonate with them about you? What would you be summarized as, so with the life and the impact that you've had? I think it's a good centering thing to start with. And the gratitude thinking, that's something that initially was very, very foreign to me. Allocating some time for that and saying, on a daily basis, what am I thankful for? What am I grateful for? But it's something now that, and some of the other parts that I've implemented from that mindfulness point of view, has probably had some of the greatest impact on me over the last couple of months. The box breathing is just, and obviously there with the phrases, so the different phases. So that's the breathe in, like over 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds, breathe out 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds, and repeating with that. You can see I'm kicking off there with the almonds, pumpkin seeds, and blueberries, so I get that ready the night before. So I had that in here and ready for when I'm up in the morning, that and some water, just to take, to make that a lot easier for me. The other parts is from the water and vitamin C. So these sort of things I pre-prepare, I pre-get ready in the morning, so it's nice and easy. The binaural beats between like that and Endel and stretching. So I'll show you the apps for that when we get to the app slide I've got up, for you guys to have a look at as well. But in essence, from with that, with those different apps, the binaural beats and Endel, and definitely I'd say that's something that was also quite foreign to me for testing out. But that has really helps get you in the zone with what you're doing. To be honest, Endel is probably one, and I'm saying up front, as I said in the post, I'm not linked affiliated with any of these. These are just sharing things that have worked for me. Endel is an app that has like individualized soundscapes. So with a range of things, so with time, what time you're on, and listening to it, but more importantly, the different type of work you're doing. If you're doing deep work or meditation or for whatever else, it adjusts with those and with the frequencies. And that's something that I've found, because it's non-distracting, and definitely helps get me into the right mental zone. Lumosity is something I've done for ages. That's just a brain training app for with those, which really adjusts the different games and parts as well, based on the results that you're getting and what you want to improve on. So I give myself a bit of variety, but it's also important, especially if you're adding that extra time in the morning. Don't just get up and say, okay, I want to jump into things. Now what am I doing? It's important having things preset. I then listen to my morning podcasts, which I already have queued up. And that's between, as I said, Brené Brown, Tom Bilyeu, like probably the two main ones. I'm listening to a few Stoic podcasts at the moment, which I'm finding quite interesting. And then a mix of other security ones as well from different people. Chris Cubbard is one, Joe Saunders, a range of others that I have in place. Checking then obviously from Trello, which I'll step through what I do with Trello and setting the day. Doing any pre-reading as well, but also my reading session I do from my security and risk library. So I'll share a slide for with that. But those who watch this that are in the security and risk space, it's something that, things are such a dynamic, landscape they're on, and things just evolve constantly. So I'm continually looking for what I'm doing for the next book, and how I actually even do that and track and set my lists up for what else I want to read. I'll show you for that when I get through to Trello. Sorry for the beeping in the background. That's just some other notifications I had down for today. I check through, my socials for with that. See, that's definitely part of like what I do. I'm a social-based person with a lot of things. So getting the updates, reading through what's happening, seeing what my peers are doing as well, professionally, especially at the moment, there's so much happening, getting the updates. It's great to stay on top of that. Breathe in the meditation time that I allocate for with those, and I'll show you that app. It has been something I said that was something that is definitely out of left field. It wasn't on my radar for doing this sort of thing. I'm somebody that, due to, I suppose, having a quite active brain and others, thinking that if I could sit still and just free think for a while, and I tried sort of doing that, and it's something that I am not good with. I'm one of those people that, especially with meditation and being in the moment, if you've got that quiet time and downtime, it's not just about the thoughts that you have, and that's, we all have thoughts and things running through our head. It's if you pull those threads and what happened with those parts of the thoughts, and that's something that I would naturally do. Breathe has been great because, and especially out of those, I'm saying Lynn Goldberg. Once again, don't know Lynn or affiliated with Lynn, but for with Lynn Goldberg's, she's got some short, sharp meditations on there, like on the Breathe app. Some of them are even eyes open meditation. There's 5 and 10 minute ones on helping realign priorities, on centering yourself and things as well. So that has been something that has been incredibly beneficial for me. That and I said with Endel as well. So things that I did not initially realize I would have so much benefit for are truly working out well for me. I run through the day's activities, and you can see that I've got in there about gym and what supplements I'm having. That's, I said, more aligned with what I'm doing, but I just wanted to share some of the key parts for that. But jumping to the evening parts there, you can see I've got daily journal on the day one app at 9:15. That's another thing that's made a massive difference for me, but also for with my sleep. Clearing my thoughts and what's on my head and getting that down in the journal has something that's worked absolutely perfectly, for with me. If you've got a busy mind, if you're an active person and you've got lots of things, different priorities going on between work priorities, personal priorities, and a range of others, this app you can adjust your own template. So I've got just some basic things, notable things. So with things can be such as with these templates, and what you can customize with the templates is notable things that happened to me today. Like, it is one of the parts that you put in. And when I say put in, you can design and adjust that. So notable things, this is what I have, what I'm grateful for, what could I have done better today, what did I learn today, what training did I do today, what I've been thinking about, and then I put today's ratings, where I put a bit of a rating system from 1 to 5 on my mood and energy level. Doing those, as I said, helps clear what's in your mind, and especially with the part as well, you say, what didn't I do well today? You get that out and down into your journal. You clear that out of your mind. It's also then the next day, then one of the first things that you do when you're jumping up, you want to improve or step forward from that. So that's been a lot of benefit with me for actioning that. The cold therapy shower is one that's going to be, was definitely like another one that was quite weird. I'm normally a cool sleeper, so on top of the sheets and blankets, but some of the reading and research I had about enhancing sleep as well was about dropping your core temperature with doing that. So the combination with that, and then the next element there about the black tea with the apple cider vinegar and the tablespoon of raw unfiltered honey. I got that from Tim Ferriss as part of what he does with his night routine. The combination with those, and then with the melatonin I'm taking as well. As I said, I've gone from averaging between 50 minutes and an hour of REM sleep per night to now averaging between 2 hours and 15 and 2 hours 30 REM sleep per night. So when I'm getting, as I said, just under this, between 5.5 and 6 hours sleep, getting such a large portion of that sleep, I'm getting the same amount, if not more, REM sleep than what the average person is getting, often with 8 to 9 hours sleep. So from that point of view, as I said, I'm waking up refreshed, invigorated, and everything is just working absolutely fantastic. You can see I'm ending up there as well with the binaural beats and the reflect, recalibrate, renew. That's just there in the complete rest mode. reset your brain. You've already emptied out some of the things that you've had going through for with the day. So from getting those things done, as I said, is translating just into fantastic level and also quality of sleep for me, which is obviously what's so important. This is the apps that I was mentioning. So I've got these down and saved just as a separate part. Vantage is just a calendar app I use just for, which is great for me because it actually, you can click and close your days and then you can see them just stacked. So you know what are your busy or light days. Aside from the functionality for it, every day is a fantastic one. It's an actual habit tracker. So the things that you just saw there in the daily schedule, I plug into every day, and as I action those parts with the habits, I tick them. It color codes them, and also for with that, the colors get more intense as you progress for with that. So that's worked great. It's also, the other part is there's going to be times that life gets in the way of things happen, that you drop one or two of these things, and having that sort of tracker as well is a key part about helping to keep you accountable and get back on track. Podcast is just the podcast that, like, obviously a link that everyone will have on their phones, or I have those. Lumosity is the brain training app, which is set adjust all different types of games, spatial awareness, and just different elements as well. There's a lot of different research on the success or non-successful with those. It's something that I've found good for me. It's something that I've also found from the variety, and I'm a person that likes with the games, so I find it beneficial and rewarding. Books I'll come to in a sec when I show you some of the slides. Be Focused is a what they call a Pomodoro timer. Pomodoro timer, for those that haven't heard of that, is how if you allocate portions for with your work when you're doing 25 minutes on and 5 minutes off from a rest period. So it's something that Francisco Cirillo came up with from memory in the mid to late 80s. And Pomodoro, because you would have heard that before, is Italian for tomato. So he actually used a tomato timer that he was doing for with that. Every 4 cycles of those 25 minutes and 5 minutes off, you take a bit of a longer break. From that point of view, it helps keeps you sharp and keep you focused. Hence the name Be Focused. Endel, I've covered off. Breathe, like I've obviously mentioned earlier, and then day one as well. So from the day one point of view for when that journaling, the big part for with this is making this easy. Making sure that whatever you have in place for with that, if it's something that's functional and workable for you. If it's something that's going to be onerous or a big job, being practical about it, it's not something that's going to continue. So the things that I've tried to build are things that for with this habit, the key habits that I have are things that stack habits from where I can. So one being a trigger for with the other occurring. The other part as well is, because I like it, it's something that I've got an affinity with using the apps and doing things, keeping it easy and functional for it as well. That works for me. So using these apps like that I've mentioned for helping to set up the framework for tracking those habits, also keeping myself accountable is something that's worked really well for me. The next page I'm going to share is the one where I'm probably going to get the most joking comments and things about people that work with me, and also that I suppose are involved with ACES, with the Security Association that I'm chairman of, and also with the Women's Domestic Violence Shelter where I'm a chair of, know that I love Trello, those app-based project management priority tracking things. Whilst everyone may have seen some of the different projects when I'm invited, people haven't seen my personal one. So this is going to be the first time that this has been shown publicly. So I'll put it up now, and as soon as this is up, I have no doubt the comments will start. Yes, I'm Batman fan, as evidenced also by the chair I'm sitting in the study. So this is how I set up my Trello. So this is my personal one. You can see there that I've got, and by the way, they're actually all animated GIFs on my own page. This is just a snapshot pic I put up to show you. So you can see the priority tasks, the urgent and important tasks. They're obviously from the ones that, from the work point of view, personal point of view, key things with me that I put the specifics in, who's involved, what the necessary outcome is. I break that down into key milestones, especially for larger tasks, and then track for with that, and that's flagged for my notifications. I've got personal priorities as a separate component for with that as well. Then short-term, mid-term, long-term projects that I put through there. If they're things that aren't both urgent and important, aren't directly being key immediate priorities, then they'll get put there and obviously actioned accordingly and dragged across as they become important, timely, or adjust on my priority schedule. Personal growth. The next books to read, podcasts, audio books, PDFs, articles, and inspirational people and links. I have those because it's important to make sure that you've got a framework in place for how you can keep the list of what the next items are you're going to do. So on that next books to read, and I'll show you a page in a second as to what I do with the books I read as well. The next books to read is one. So if I'm speaking to somebody, and I've had advice from a range of people for with this, where I get different books. The last couple have been through Boyd Hooper. Is that I get a list from people then about what the next books are to read. So I'll then add that list on there with the book and even a link to it. The majority of my books I use iBooks, I download. I also, even as you can probably see from the next one there as well, podcasts and audio books. I have a lot of audio books as well. Often if I've got time that there's something I really want to make sure that I'm storing mentally and quickly, I will do both. So I will have the audio book playing, and I will have and I speed that up. So and then I have the actual book open as well. Normally on iBooks, where I can highlight that as I'm going through, and that way with doing that, it's increased my cognition as I'm doing it. Not great for speed reading. So if there's anybody here who's gone through Jim Quick's Limitless book, I definitely do a lot of speed reading, and it's not, if you're doing these sort of things about the highlighting another part, that slows you down a bit. But if there's times that I really need to make sure I've stored something with all the individual small elements and rapidly, over a dedicated time frame, that works for me. PDFs and articles, so I put in, if I get a link with a good PDF, so I save that and drag that up there. Inspirational people and links, that works for me as well, because there's people that I follow for on different elements for information. So I might follow them on LinkedIn or Twitter and others, and so I'll keep track for some of the things that they're doing if I get a link about some of their updated work. The daily schedule is the one that I showed you before, where I kept that updated. Training program is where I keep my physical training program details, and then eating plan is just things where I track and set up for what I'm doing from an eating and supplementation point of view. That's one of the other parts, especially at the moment, that I need to be spending some more time and energy on. So for that transparency's sake, it's one of the ones where I haven't got humming the way that I want it at the moment. So, and then I keep some spare cards, so that way as anything comes up, I can update and drag that across. And yes, they're all Batman themed. So when I said with the books, this is another one that I've got down as for one of my Trello pages. So you can see that I've got down there security books, learning or brain books, and then just some general development books. The last one is some short courses or workshops that I'm doing as well. One being Ekman's micro expressions, which for anybody who's interested in that, and for, I suppose, if you've got an interest or watch those shows, Lie to Me and others, being able to go through a program online that help identify and really refine your senses with identifying people's micro expressions and what they mean, and if what they're communicating to you really aligned with what they're thinking, that's great. The DV Alert program from Lifeline is a fantastic program that they have, where I'm really learning a lot. And then you've got Crowd Science, which is Keith Steele's crowd safety and crowd science course, which is fantastic for people in my industry. But with those books there, so and I won't click through all the individual ones, but you can see I put the header page up there, and then I put bullet point notes for things that come out, the key learning outcomes for me, or summary points. I've also been cutting and pasting those and sharing those with some of my various teams. So and often that's can be the kickstart for them starting on their learning journey as well, because if they're getting some information on some of the parts and that of those books, some of the key learning outcomes with those, I've found that especially if I adjust some of the summary notes a little bit, that's in line with their thinking or verbiage as well, that we get some good traction with that. And that's a big part of what I'm trying to do, trying to make sure that all the learning I've had from other people and mentoring from other people, if I can sort of help collate that and share some tips and tricks, that even if there's one or two things that help people progress a little bit more towards their goals, then that's something that I'm really happy to do, and hopefully people can find of benefit. Last two slides before I finish up, because I definitely want to keep this under 30 minutes. So this is the one when I said about I'll put some slides up about with the different books that I have. I suppose the ones that I focus. So I've got an inactive gallery, but these are the ones that I sort of keep going. So I've got separate categories that I have, so separate collections. This is the personal development one, so you can see there's quite a mix there between the 8 weeks to wow. So Chief, if you end up seeing this video, fantastic. You can see there's TED Talks in there. There's a couple of books, the Stoic books I want to go through. Cialdini's books on influence, Tim Ferriss's. You can see there's quite a broad mix in there. The ones I mentioned earlier on as well, Deep Work, Essentialism, and the other ones that I drag and keep at the top, Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Between Atomic Habits from James Clear and Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, those two are absolutely wonderful books. I've taken so much out of those, and for anybody, regardless, from personal habits and structure, business habits and structure, if you're somebody that's wanting to really set some things in place and change and improve elements of yourself, if you're not wanting to continually be that person that says, yeah, I'm going to start going to the gym next week, yeah, I'm going to start reading, yeah, I'm going to do these things, and you want to actually transform yourself and start doing those things, I heavily recommend getting those books, whether it's the audio book or your audio book or the book. It's just something I've got a lot of benefit from, and I think that every person I've put onto those books have got benefit out of it. For the security and risk people, especially with sharing this on LinkedIn, this is what I meant for with the library. I'll keep active like you for with that. So yeah, I update some of the versions as I go for with those. You can see there's some new ones at the top. So things, if I want to start rounding off, I want to expand my knowledge and awareness a bit more in different parts with investigations now. And so yeah, I'll keep learning for with those, and also the various feeds and info surrounding that. So from the key parts, I suppose, from the program that I wanted to share, and as I said, I wanted to definitely keep this under 30 minutes because I don't want it to be cumbersome for people. Hopefully you can fit it in the 30-minute window. The key part for with this and the learnings for myself is, firstly, regardless of even if you are a structured and organized person, having that transparency on the system that you have, that accountability model, I think is absolutely crucial for making sure that you make the most of that time. I've mentioned previously in videos and others as well, is that if you have a legal issue or concern, you see a legal expert, you book in with your solicitor. If you have a medical issue, you book in with your medical expert, your doctor. You're your own expert. Nobody knows you like yourself. You've got to do that self-awareness and self-reflection. And unless you book in and keep the appointments with yourself on these various things, being listening to a podcast, doing reading, going for and doing some type of training for a walk or whatever else, having some stop and reflection time, doing some journaling, these sort of things, these small pockets of time can just be so beneficial, but it's important to plan to make the most of them. If you just stop and say, I've got 10 minutes now, what I'm going to do, and think of something, that time is going to whittle away. Time dissipates so quickly. And so spending a bit of planning time for with that. One of the other things that I had a Trello page for is what I call the nice list. That's things like I'd like to get done, but they're not priorities at the moment. So I've got spare time. I had a separate subsection for that on 30, 45, 60 minutes, 2 hours and above. So you could just drag things in there, miscellaneous things. So if you've got a spare couple of hours, rather than just going, I don't know what to do, you can jump on that. The big part for with this is, regardless of what I've shared there with the program, the hours, what's worked for me with the learning interest point of view, the sleeping and others, it's got to be adjusted for your own individual circumstances. It takes some trial and error and some testing. Some things are just not going to work. Some things are going to work fantastic. Like I said, between the journaling, dropping my core temperature, and some time with mindfulness, doubling my REM sleep is something that has changed my energy levels, my focus. Everything is just working a lot better. So hopefully there's at least one or two items like out of that that are of benefit, whether it's one or two books on my list that might interest you, or one or two elements with the habits I've got in place that you can tweak and adjust for working for you. But definitely reach out and either in comments with here, because other people may have the same sort of questions, or send me a message. I'm more than happy to discuss that. I just hope it's been a benefit for people. So yeah, stay safe and well. Bye.